have had several requests to do a video showing how to make Harry Potter's robe. I will share with you that this is not an easy pattern, but when you are done, I think you will agree that it is very clever. As always, if you have any questions, just ask in the comments section or email me at craftingwithnana@gmail.com. Let's get started.
To start Harry Potter's robe, we're going to use an E or a 4 crochet hook. And I'm just going to do that in the lighter yarn so that it's easier to see. And I'm starting with a slip stitch because we are going to chain 19. So with the slip stitch on my hook, I'm going to chain 19. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. And it says that the count at the end of each row does not include the turning chain. So we are going to not take the stitch that's on our hook, but we're going to skip and go into the next stitch, and we're going to crochet back 18. Kind of starts curling up. You can just pull it apart. When we get into that last stitch, we're going to simply chain 1, and that is our turning stitch, and that ends row 1. Row 2, we're going to do 2 single crochets in the next stitch. Again, not using the stitch that's on our hook, but going into the next one. We're going to do 2 single crochets in that stitch. Then we're going to chain 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we're simply going to count the ones we're going to skip. So we skip 1, 2, 3, 4, and in our 5th one, we insert and we single crochet in 6. So that was our first. There's our second. Three, 4, 5, and 6. And then we repeat of the chain 5, and this is going to make his armholes. So we chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We skip the next 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Insert our hook into the 5th one and single crochet in the next 2. Takes us back to the end, and we chain 1 to turn. So yours hopefully looks something like this when you're down to the end of row 2. In row 3, we have chained that 1 to turn, and we're going to single crochet in the next 2, and then work 5 single crochets around. So what's happening now is we're building out on that sleeve that we just started creating. Okay, we're down, we've finished the sleeve, the 5 that were in the sleeve. We're going to crochet 6. And that takes us right over to the second sleeve. We're going to work single crochets in the 5 crochets along the sleeves. We single crochet in the next 2, which takes us to the end. And we chain 1 to turn. And each time we're just working back and forth along the same set of stitches. So it's always chain 1 to turn. And then in the next 3 rows, we simply are going to crochet, single crochet all the way from one end to the other, chaining 1 to turn each time and working back. Always chaining 1 to turn. This is our last row across. Don't forget to chain that 1 to turn. On round 7, we are going to increase by 2 stitches. So we have our chain 1 and we're going to single crochet in 6. Then we'll do 2 single crochets in the 7th stitch, and then single crochet in the next 6. Do 2 single crochets in the next one, and then single crochet in the last stitch, or in the last 6. and then chain 1 to turn. Now there should be 22 single crochets across your Harry Potter robe, and for the next 3 rows you'll simply crochet 22, chain 1, come back, chain 1, come back. Starting row 8, we have chained 1, and we're simply going to crochet to the other end of our project. 1 crochet stitch in each previous stitch. Reaching the end, we crochet 1, turn around, and go back across for another 2 times. Okay, so we crocheted 1 to turn, and we simply go back across our project. 1 stitch in each crochet stitch. And getting to the end on our last row 10. We do not turn after the last row, but we work 8 single crochets along the front right edge into the ends of the row. So we're going to chain 1. We're going to go along the side now. And work 8 single crochets going from edge to edge, and then we chain 1 and work 18 slip stitches along the edge, or along the top. So a slip stitch is you simply slide in, pull through, and pull through. We just go into the next single crochet, slide in, pull through, and pull through. We're going to do this 18 times across the top of his robe, each time going into a new stitch, but only pulling through and slip stitching rather than making a complete crochet stitch. When we reach the end, we're going to chain 1 and then move along this edge to put 8 single crochets in that edge. And I'm starting on this other side. And just kind of poke your needle or your crochet hook in along here wherever you can to be able to make the next crochet stitch, because it doesn't look like the normal stitches that we are used to inserting into. The most important thing is that you're just going to make 8 crochet stitches along the edge. And we're going to get to the bottom, and then we're going to chain 1, and we're going to slip stitch along the bottom just like we did the top. And I'll be honest, I was not counting my stitches, so the main thing is going from side to side and slip stitching along both the top and the bottom until you get to the edge. And what that does is gives it a nice finished look. So then we're going to clip this off. We'll actually clip both edges off and weave them in. So I'm going to go ahead and just pull that through and finish off. And then thread up my needle and weave my ends back into the robe. So this one I will weave up this side, and this one I will weave up this side so you can't see them. Okay, the first part of our robe is done. You have 2 openings here that we will be putting the sleeves on. Right now our Harry Potter robe has 10 rows of crocheting. If you need yours to be longer, you can just add an extra 11th row or a 12th row, a 13th row, whatever you want. I'm going to go ahead and just follow the pattern for hers, but you can certainly add more rows. If you need it to be wider, then you would simply add more stitches as you begin the project. Set that aside. We'll go ahead and start on the sleeves. Our instructions have you change to a G hook to do the sleeves, and you can tell that the head of the G hook is a little bit larger, so the stitches are going to be a bit larger as well. So the first thing we'll do is turn our robe to the outside, and we're going to start stitching within this circle itself. Okay, you're going to join your yarn in the first of our 4 stitches across the top of the sleeve. Just going to go ahead and loop your yarn over. Pull it through and do a stitch, and then single crochet in the next 3. Then you're going to chain 7. You're going to come back and insert in the very first stitch that we made, which is over here by the tail of your yarn. Go ahead and make a completed crochet stitch there. By doing that, we've made this circle. And then I can turn it back out to this side. So I have a circle. We're going to single crochet in those next 3 stitches. We haven't touched the 7 crocheted ring yet. And then we're going to continue now working in the ring. We're going to crochet 6 within that ring. And that completed round 1. And now we're just going to continue crocheting around the ring. There should be 10 single crochets as we go around that ring. And now we're going to start making our sleeve larger in diameter. So we're going to single crochet in 7 and then single crochet 2 times in 1 stitch. Then we're going to single crochet 2 times in that next stitch. And we're going to do 2 single crochets in the next stitch. And then single crochet in the next one, and it brings us around to the start. And we should end up there with 12 stitches. So now we just single crochet around for 12. We're going to increase the diameter one more time by single crocheting in the next 8. And then single crochet in the next 2. I'm sorry, 2 single crochets in the next 2. And then one more time, we put 2 single crochets in the next stitch. And then we single crochet in the next 2. And now we should have 14 stitches in our circle. If you're off by 1, I would not worry about it. So don't strive for perfection. Let's just try to get the sleeve done. And then our last round is we single crochet in each one of those stitches around, so 14 times. And then we just cut our yarn and pull it through to fasten off. Then take your needle and leave a good length of yarn. And weave your yarn in until you come to where this gap is, because you're going to sew that gap closed. Making sure you don't pull it so tight that it collapses the outer part of your sleeve, but pull it tight enough that it's not going to be seen. And then you can just go ahead, kind of twist this around and start sewing this gap closed. Kind of pick up any stitch in there that does that. It's an interesting way to do a sleeve. I've never done one like this before, but I think it's going to turn out great. Just keep stitching that gap closed, making certain that you don't close your sleeve off. You want to have that opening through your sleeve. Okay, so I'm back around to where the tail is. I'm going to go ahead and cut that beginning tail off. I'm going to weave this in. My jacket has the sleeve sewn on very nicely. I'm going to go ahead and tie it off in here. And hide the end of my yarn. Make sure that it's going to be nice and tight so it won't come out. And then I'm going to go ahead and weave in the other tail that I have, and one sleeve will be completed. Before starting my second sleeve, I wanted to make sure that my robe fit Harry Potter really well, and I was happy with the length of the sleeve. So you can see how well that turned out. I'll go ahead and complete the second sleeve like I did the first. But you'll notice that my Harry Potter's robe could have been longer if I wanted it to. Her picture shows that the robe comes to his feet, to the top of his feet, and I've got probably a 1/2 inch gap there. So I could have certainly added maybe 2 more rows, so mine would have ended up being 11 or 12 rows long. But for this demonstration, I think this is going to work out great. So I'll see you back here after you complete your second sleeve. Just go back and look at the way we did the first one and complete the second one. There you have it, a completed robe for Harry Potter. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please reach out to me if you have any questions. Don't forget to subscribe and follow me on Instagram at Craft with Nana. I'll see you next time on Crafting with Nana. Bye!